World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, and they won't tell you, but we will. The Philadelphia Eagles are still Super Bowl champions, and the Philadelphia Phillies are in first place. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Chet, the Phillies come out of the All-Star break losing 2 out of 3 at home against the Angels. They bounce back, winning the next 2 against the Red Sox, going for a sweep tonight. Somebody's still going to have to explain to me this post-break pitching rotation. I'm not getting it. Maybe our guest tonight can help us with that. The Eagles have reported to camp, ready to defend their Super Bowl day one today, and it sounds like it was a good one. Oh, yeah, they got some pretty cool rings, too, the other night. That was neat. Who would have thought that NIL would be affecting the NHL? But it's here, and the Flyers are right in the middle of it. The Eagles, well, they were well represented in the ESPYs, which I know you surely watched.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, we have plenty to talk about in Philly sports.
Always the case, Bill. The Phillies needed those wins the last couple of nights. We'll see if they can get the sweep here on this Wednesday evening. They had dropped their 3 prior series. Still clinging to first place. The Mets won today, so It's now, I guess, 1 percentage point, 0.001. The Phillies are up in first place. A couple of tough series ahead, including one up at Yankee Stadium this weekend. We'll see how that goes.
Well, just remember, they are the second place Yankees in the AL East. So
yes, they are.
Just because they're the Yankees don't mean they're all that. But, hey, we'll see anyway. Hey, great guest tonight making a return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio from NJ.com, Bob Brookover. He'll be talking Phillies and Eagles with us.
Yeah, he has covered both of those teams off and on for a long, long time in Philly. So we always look forward to have Brookie on the show with us to get his take on the state of the teams. And he looks like he's here and ready to go, Bill. So let's do it.
Well, let's get to it. Let's welcome Bob Brookover back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Brookie, welcome.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Fantastic.
Great to see you, Bob. Well, Eagles training camp is officially underway. That started today. So let's begin there. What is the mood, do you think, at the NovaCare complex and nearby when you have a team that, is the defending Super Bowl champion, but has also lost several key contributors, especially on defense this offseason? And that includes a couple of team leaders in Brandon Graham and Darius Slay.
Jordan Mailata would slap your wrist, Chet, for saying that they're defending champions. They're not defending anything. They got a new season. Repeat is a 4-letter word at the NovaCare complex. Do not say repeat. Repeat. Do not say repeat. But obviously they are the Super Bowl champions. They're going to try to go for a second straight title. Something hasn't been done since 1949. I went and looked up the ring from 1949. Doesn't look anything like
right.
It's got 15 million fewer diamonds. It's mostly gold. That's today's.
Yes.
Find the 1949 one.
Good luck.
But that was the last and only Eagles team to repeat a championship. And that was a heck of a team. Although I think there were 10 teams in the NFL at the time, and only 8 cities were represented. New York had 2, Chicago had 2, and the Eagles gave up 10.3 points a game. I looked that up. I don't know why. I never use it in the story, but I looked it up. I saw it. I get interested in that kind of stuff. But this team is going to try to become the second Eagles team to do that, and they surely have the talent to do it. The mood at the NovaCare complex couldn't be any better. I mean, they come in relatively healthy. The only guy that had to put on the PUP list today was Nakobe Dean. Healthy is always a good way to start camp. It's an even better way to get through to the end of camp.
Hey, Bob, you mentioned the rings. I saw where Devontae Smith said that this ring doesn't even fit in the case that his other ring fits in. So, I mean, just in a couple of years, it's gone crazy high.
Well, it was astonishing to see the 2017 ring compared to this one. It dwarfs the size of that one, and then of course it's also got the inflatable wings.
Yeah.
So it really is. It really is quite the thing. So I was talking to somebody today, I forget who it was, telling me how heavy it was. Like, you can't ever wear this thing, So it's whenever what was the guy's name? Jason from Hollywood or something from Hollywood, Jay from Hollywood, somebody from Hollywood. Whenever it says from Hollywood, they've spent a lot of money on it.
Hey, Bob, I wanted to ask you, I think we have to start with Jalen Hurts. A lot being talked about in the offseason, all these made-up lists and ratings and all this stuff. Is the ceiling still high for Jalen Hurts? He's just 26 years old. I mean, people act like he's been around forever. He's a kid in this game.
Yeah, and to me, the thing I think about when I think about Jalen last season, there's 3 games I think about. Yes, the Eagles became a very run-heavy team. I think they were 31st in pass attempts, and things changed after they started 2-2. They went run heavy. They relied on their greatest weapon, which was Saquon. But the 3 games that stick out to me after that are the one against Pittsburgh, when Jalen sat down, he threw for however many yards, close to 300 yards. It became a passing game because the Steelers really focused on Saquon. He sat down after the game, says, "Is that what you're all waiting to see?" And then after the NFC Championship game, he basically said, they took the handcuffs off me today. He later said he was half joking, but they put up 55 points, set an NFC Championship record. He was brilliant. And then you go to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be forever remembered as, well, the Eagles are going to, Kevin Burkhardt from Fox saying, the Eagles are going to run some clock, or maybe they're not. And he throws a 46-yard touchdown to Jalen Hurts, and it's like, that's the dagger, and that was the dagger. I forget what it made the score, whatever. A lot to a little. Too many to no way they're coming back. I'm curious to see, and I asked Jalen about it today, do you want to see more of that? This is a team that, Saquon Barkley doesn't care if he gets 2,000 yards again. If he gets 1,200 yards and they win the Super Bowl again, they don't care how they win. And Jalen Hurts really doesn't care how he wins. He just wants to win, and he has always won. And those games to me, though, showed, you know what? Yeah, if the Eagles want to open this offense up, if Kevin Patula, the new offensive coordinator, wants to open things up a little bit, is Jalen Hurts' confidence ever going to be higher than it is right now? Maybe if he wins another one, but it's soaring right now. And he's got incredible weapons. I mean, if you think about last year too, in addition to being a running team, he, for long spurts, very rarely did he have his 3 biggest passing weapons all playing all together, because Dallas Goedert was out so much, and then Devontae Smith and AJ Brown also missed time. So he very rarely had them all 3 together, but he did during the postseason run, and it was pretty impressive.
Well, let me ask you about that. You mentioned Saquon last year, the incredible season, 482 touches, though. That's got to take a bit of a toll. So there is the new offensive coordinator in Kevin Patullo. Do you think we will see more of a passing game, the wide receivers getting more targets than they did last year?
I do. I really do think we're going to see more. I just think this offense hasn't, you talked about Jalen's ceiling. I think the offense hasn't reached the ceiling yet. Probably the best offensive team in these last 3 years was the 2022 team when everybody was pretty much healthy, and Jalen ended up being second in the MVP. People forget it was only 3 years ago that he was second in the MVP voting. There's more there. There's more there for this team. AJ Brown said today, he doesn't care by his standard is, I want to be the best receiver in the NFL. Somebody said, well, how do you do that? Can you do that when you guys run the ball as much as you did last year? He goes, I know in my own mind if I'm the best in the NFL, and that's who I want to be, and I also want to win. Devontae Smith's the same way. There's just so much talent, and then you also add in that all except one of the offensive linemen is back, and they're all, they've all been to Pro Bowls except for Jordan Mailata, he's been robbed, but I think he was the second team All Pro last year. I think that's right. Mm-hmm. They're all decorated except for the right guard, which looks like it's going to be Tyler. There's so much talent. They should, in my mind, I think they finished 7th in points or 8th in points and 7th in yards last year. They should be higher than that. The talent level screams being a top 3, 2, 1, if not the best offense in the NFL. And I could see them going to that level this year. And again, there's always the addendum, provided they remain healthy.
Well, you went to the offensive line, and that's exactly where I was going to go. We're getting towards the end, last 3 years probably of the Lane Johnson era. How do you see Lane in Eagles history, and is he a Hall of Famer?
It's funny. He was asked that today by someone, and he said, well, I still got a lot to go here. I still, I'm just really focused on the moment. It's something maybe you think about afterwards. And Saquon was waiting to come on after him, on the podium after him. And Saquon, when the question was asked, just started going like this. And then he was asked about it when he did come to the podium and said, he's got years left, and I can't wait to see what those years look like. But come on, it's Lane Johnson. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, I do think he's a Hall of Famer already. No matter what he does from this point on, he should be. And I still think he's got a lot left with Lane, and with anybody who's 35 years old. You start to, I think more than worry about their play, just worry about staying healthy, because the game takes its toll. So we'll see.
One final football question from me. We're going to switch to baseball in a bit. Bill can add another football question if he wants. But as we speak, the Eagles over-under is 11.5 wins. They are the slight favorites to win another Super Bowl, just ahead of the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs. Here on July 23rd, Bob, what is your take? How many wins for the Eagles this year? And can they realistically get back to the Super Bowl?
I'll answer the second question first. Yes, I think very realistically they can get back to the Super Bowl. Having said that, I could see them not going 14-3 again this year just because the schedule is so brutal. But it should be remembered that they are playing the NFC. It's the
Central there, Packers, Lions.
Right, they're playing the North and the AFC West. So two tough assignments there, and have a really tough schedule. But the rest of the division is playing that too. I mean, I could see them winning 11 games, 12 games, still winning the division, because I don't see Washington just running through that schedule either. No. There are things I like that the Commanders did. Or is the old name? I don't. But anyway, I'm not going to get into. I can see them still being a good team, but taking a little bit step backwards because the things they did, they didn't get younger. They're not a young team. They have talent, but they're not a young team. So I think the Eagles win the division, and I think they have a definite shot at going back to the Super Bowl. It's going to be harder because they can say what they want about repeating, but the other teams, you hear it already. You hear the Rams talking about. You heard Kobe Turner talking about how he has that game circled on his calendar. Javad Verse is Gerard. Yeah, Verse. I'm just gonna say Verse. he's he's going to say some things before that game. The Rams, it's week 3 early on, but the Cowboys have talked some already about can't wait to come to Philadelphia for that opener. The Chiefs are going to want a piece of them in week 2. Early on, they're going to really, then they go to Tampa, Denver's. I mean, that early schedule is really, really tough. And I'll be fascinated to see what they are when they get through Week 11 against the Lions. But having said that, I also think, regardless of what they are, that they're a veteran enough team. They're one of these teams that can take a step back and win total, and then get to the postseason and find a way to win games in the postseason. I mean, the Chiefs kind of did that, not last year, but two years ago when they won the Super Bowl. They struggled through the season a little bit, but when it came time to win the playoffs, they just knew how to do it.
And one final question for me for the Eagles. There's some pictures floating around. You were there today. Jordan Davis weighed in at, they say, 336 pounds over about 366 pounds last year. Contract year, he looks like a monster.
Yeah, well, he said during the OTAs, that late in the OTAs, that he discovered the Peloton and it became his friend. And he used it a lot, and he's really it's something that Vic Fangio hinted out that he discovered last year late in the season, that I'm sure with a little nudging from Vic saying, hey, you got to play lighter if you want to be the player you can be in this league. And as you pointed out, Bill, he's contract year. I believe in contract years very much. And this is a chance for him to go make some money. So I am fascinated to see what a lighter, more fit Jordan Davis can do. You got to think for sure that they're going to count on him for more snaps than they did last year with Milton Williams gone. I know they love Moro Ojamo too, and he's certainly going to be a big part of the rotation. But I think we're going to see quite a few more snaps from Jordan Davis this year.
Going to be interesting, and it all begins, of course, September 4th when the Eagles host the Cowboys at the Link. Let's switch it up a little bit and talk some Phillies baseball. And, Bob, as we speak, the MLB trade deadline is 8 days away. What do you think? Will Dave Dombrowski add another bullpen arm beyond David Robertson and or an outfielder before August 1st?
He needs to.
Yeah.
I know that. This is a huge trade deadline for Dave Dombrowski because, I don't know how much longer this window's open, especially when you look at what's happening in free agency with Realmuto, Ranger. Some of them are going to be back, but the clock is ticking for this team. And to me, if you can go for it, whoever you can get to improve most in that area, but it is harder in defense of all baseball general managers. It's harder than ever to make a deadline deal because with all these teams able to make the playoffs, it's hard to sort out who thinks they're in and who thinks they're not. I'd love to see him get the kid closer from the A's. I've been dreaming this for 10 years that one day Mike Trout ends up playing in Philadelphia. I'm skeptical that either one of those things is going to happen. But, there was talk about Ward, the other outfielder who kind of killed the Phillies during that 3-game series, him possibly being available. But it's a huge trade deadline for Dave Dombrowski. He needs to do something. He's going to do something. I'd be shocked if he didn't. How big, I don't know. But, I just think this team is at a point where they need that arm in the bullpen. There is a fair point about the bullpen, that the bullpen we've been watching for, most of the season is not going to be the same bullpen they go into the postseason with, because they have their own guys including starters and, Andrew Painter, what's going to happen. Although I'm not near excited about Andrew Painter as some people are right now, because he hasn't pitched all that great, in AAA this season. Nick Abel's kind of come back to earth. To me, when I talk about the trade deadline, I'm not afraid to give up, certainly not Mick Abel, but also Andrew Painter. I wouldn't be afraid to give him up. I can remember going back to the 09s, 08s, Kyle Drabeck being untouchable. Finally, he was touchable. They used him to get Roy Halladay. I don't think there were any regrets about getting Roy Halladay for Kyle Dre back. We see these guys as being untouchable, but so many of them don't pan out. And I'm not saying that Andrew Painter will not. The other thing I found interesting in that regard was their draft. They drafted, I think, their first 7 draft picks were college pitchers.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not following as closely as I was when I was on the beat, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. When you do that, you're saying we want guys here fast. I don't know if any one of those 7 would be able to step in and be a part of, a bullpen that helped. So it's just going to be interesting to see what Dombrowski does and how this bullpen is pieced together. More so than the outfielder. Outfielder, you're either going to get a guy or you're not. But I think they need help badly in that they need that one right-handed bat to really complement Harper, Turner, and Schwarber. I think they need that right-handed bat really bad. And they probably need to get a little better at the bottom of the lineup as well. But I don't know. If you can at least be really lethal at the top 5. You got a chance, especially with the pitching, with the rotation they have. They certainly have a chance.
Bob, the word seems to be that Kyle Schwarber's interested in talking about a new contract even during the year and not testing free agency. It sounds like the Phillies want to keep him. 3 years, $100 million, maybe. He makes $20 million now. What do you think? Three for 100?
I would do that for the simple reason there's the designated hitter, and we've seen other designated hitters be able to go late in their careers and have success. It's harder than ever because guys throw harder than ever. To me, you got to do everything you can to keep that guy because he's not just the heart of the lineup. He is the heart of the clubhouse. He is and again, I'm not in the clubhouse the way I once was, but I have know enough people to tell me that is the case, that he's the guy, even more so than Bryce Harper, who really is the glue in the clubhouse and the leader of that clubhouse. Harper certainly is too, but to me, Kyle Schwarber's got to stick around.
Well, Bob, you were at the Inquirer during the Phillies' great run, 2007 through 11. Thoughts about Jimmy Rollins and Ed Wade being added to the Phil's Wall of Fame this weekend?
That's a hole-in-one. Little Jimmy Rollins humor there.
Yeah.
And did you see how much the boat cost? That boat is $350,000. That's not a boat. That's a yacht. But yeah, we knew that the string of those 08 championship Phillies and beyond was going to start. I guess Pat Burrell went in a few years ago. He was the first from the 08 team. But we're going to see that run. It starts with Jimmy Rollins. That's probably a good place to start because after Burrell, he was the first one up here and making an impact. It was a no-brainer that he was going to be on that Wall of Fame. I think probably for some people, Ed Wade is controversial because they didn't win. I don't think they went to the playoffs in the entire time Ed was the GM. But with the blessing of Pat Gillick, who thanked him after they won the World Series and credited him for being a huge part of building that team. And I think Ed was a good GM. I think he paid his dues, worked from the PR department with the Phillies when in the 70s to different jobs where he became the assistant for Lee Thomas. He was the assistant GM when they went to the World Series in '93. And he's a guy who bleeds Philly red, and his fingerprints were on that 08 team and that team that made runs. I've actually had this discussion with Ed, and I think that given the payroll and the resources that Pat Gillick and now David Dombrowski and other Phillies GMs have had since Ed Wade, Ed certainly would have been able to take this team to some You never know about championships, but playoff runs and long successful runs. If you go back and look at I think it's the 03-4. I think I looked at this one time. 03-4, 5, and 6. All those teams in today's setup would have been playoff teams.
Wow, interesting. Hey, one final question for me, Bob, from the Phillies. The starting pitching, this rotation, as we saw the last two nights, fantastic. Ranger struggled a little bit his last outing, but he's been really good too. Is this as good of, let's say, 4 that they've had in quite a long time? They match up with that Halladay Hamels group?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the best was the Hamels, Halladay, Cliff Lee, and Roy Oswalt, and the Vanimal, Vance Wardley, was also really good that year.
Yeah.
In some ways, he was probably better than Oswalt, who got hurt in the middle of that year. But that to me is still the gold standard for Phillies rotations. But this one is really great. It's more homegrown in some ways, because you got. It'll be interesting to see if Nola comes back, but you got Ranger. I guess Suarez is not a homegrown guy. They made a trade with the Rays to get him. I was looking at that today. I think it's Chris Meade they traded for, and Meade is he's an Australian. He's an Australian. He's with the Rays now. He's an infielder, but the Rays are saying, why did we give up Chris Sanchez? But this is a really terrific rotation. The thing about the rotation, though, I often look at is I look around baseball. I'm a box score junkie in a lot of ways, and just look, at the pitching matchups or every day. And so many teams have good pitchers anymore, good starting pitchers. There's so many guys with ERAs under 3. But to me, the Phillies have put together great rotation. That is a credit to Dave Dombrowski that he's been able to do that. We'll see. Luzardo seems like he's struggling a bit at the moment, but actually, that's really the only guy he's gotten for him is Luzardo, that's currently here. And Matt Klentak probably deserves a lot of credit for getting Zach Wheeler here. He does deserve a lot of credit for that. He took a lot of grief for a lot of things, but Zach Wheeler, it's probably top 5 free agent signings of all time for this Phillies team. He's lights out. And I forget who made the Sanchez trade. I forget what year that was made. But that may have also been Klentak. I'm not sure.
Folks, follow this guy on X, the former Twitter. Read him on NJ.com. He covers the Eagles primarily, occasionally a Phillies article as well. Bob, thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Hey, Schwarber and Harper back-to-back in the first inning, by the way, tonight. It's 3-0.
All right. See, it's all falling into place.
There you go.
There you go. Bob, thanks Bob. For joining us.
See you guys.
All right. Hey, Chet, Philly Pressbox Radio is part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal, Phil Stiefel, host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning in the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep, you can find Philly Pressbox Radio there in addition to our own YouTube channel and on Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network setting the trends for what sports talk should be. Hey, Chet, dead of the summer, headed towards August. What is going on at the Irish Rover Station House?
Bill, I'm glad you asked. The Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA is, one of my favorite places to visit for a beer or 2 or 3 and some great food. The Rover always has trivia every Wednesday at 7. So you can do that if you're not watching us live. They have dinner specials Thursday through Sunday, Killer Burger Thursdays, as well as Irish Rover Stella and Wings nights. That is on Thursday. Yeah, after 7 p.m. Thursday, enjoy $9 wings and a big old glass of Stella for just $5. If you have yet to visit, check this place out. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne, PA, and on the web at irishroverstationhouse.com. And with the Eagles having started up training camp today, we got to go right
Let's
here.
go, Merle.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
It won't be long now, Bill.
It won't be long. Hey, before we get off that, I want to throw Sandman's question up here, Chet. Schwarber's 32. How many years does he want his next contract? And that is a critical point in this contract negotiation. I threw out 3 for $100.
He's probably going to want 4 or 5.
Kyle's going to want more.
Yeah,
he's absolutely going to want more. Now, whether he wants year 4 and or 5 at $33 million, or can you get 4 or 5 at $125? You know, at some point there's got to be a balancing act. And, you know, do you want Kyle Schwarber paying him, let's pick a number, $30 million and be 37 years old? You know,
these are the decisions that have to be made, and that's up to Dave Dombrowski and company and Schwarber himself, of course, to see what they can agree on. I think everybody wants him back. Schwarber wants to be back. The question is, you know, is he going to get 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? I think ideally the Phils would like to go 3. Schwarber ideally would probably like 5, really.
Right.
They'll probably settle on 4, and then you get to the money. Is it going to be $25 million a year? Is it going to be $30 million a year?
I think honestly, I think the money part is kind of irrelevant in today's money insanity. I think that the big thing to me is I would go now. I would get it during the season. Don't let him get near free agency. Don't let him get near the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets, the money those teams throw around. Get him done. If he's your number one priority, get him done. Pay him his 4 years, 120, whatever it's going to take, and get it done and get it behind him. That's what I want to see.
Well, I heard Jason Stark on 97.5 today with Missinelli, and he said, you know, once you get to around August 1st or beyond, deals aren't generally done. If a player gets to that point, he's going to test free agency, and then it's going to be, you know, see what the market bears and whether the club wants to match and retain the services.
Yeah, well, that's only a week, so that's probably not a good sign. Yeah, you better get on that. Hey, Chet, the Flyers' first-round draft pick Porter Martone is off to play college hockey at Michigan State. Interesting.
That guy.
NIL has hit in a big way. Penn State is right in the middle of that. They're paying a kid, a youngster named Gavin McKenna, who is the projected number 1 pick in the 2026 draft, $700,000 NIL deal to play hockey at Penn State University. For Martone, it sounds like the camps have talked. Everything's good. It's not like baseball reentry draft type thing. The Flyers still have the rights. But they're not going to junior hockey because they can go get a ton of money in college. It's bizarre. Total insanity.
It's a different world, Bill. And I know the whole NIL thing roils you, but I mean, in all honesty, the whole hockey setup is kind of weird in that, unlike the other major North American professional sports, players drafted by an NHL team are allowed to begin their, you know, careers in college while their professional team retains the players' draft rights. But getting back to the NIL stuff, as I said, I know your stance on it. So the floor is yours. What is it that bugs you about this setup?
Well, they're supposed to be college students, student athletes. They're not student athletes. Don't fool ourselves any longer with that. I have no problem with them getting some money, getting some fair piece of the pie. Gavin McKenna, I'm going to guess, is 17 years old, maybe 18. He's getting ready to graduate, whatever. They're going to give him $700,000. It's just, when a player is coming into a coach and saying, how much are you going to pay me to stay here or I'm leaving, I have problems with that. And I think when it all settles itself out, and football being the biggest and basketball being there too, is you're going to find all these kids that don't have a place to play. And the trickle-down effect, I don't think we're seeing it. You get your big guys that are getting a lot of money, but then you got all these other guys that are going in the transfer portal and looking for NIL deals, and they're not there. And I think that's at some point, there are going to be so many guys in the portal, the high school kids aren't going to have anywhere to go. And now all of a sudden they're out. So I just have a problem with it. And the other thing, Terry Pegula, if you know that name, Terry Pegula is the guy who built the Pegula Ice Center at Penn State. He's also the owner of the Buffalo Bills. He's also the owner of the Buffalo Sabres. He is also the guy that funds the NIL program at Penn State. He's not going to run out of money. And they have, I believe that I'm saying this right, they have 6 5-star players that are coming into Penn State ice hockey this year. I saw a joke that said they got the best lineup in the state of Pennsylvania, which includes the Flyers and the Penguins.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just not the way it's supposed to be. And maybe I'm just old, Jet. Maybe I'm old fashioned.
No comment on that front. But the good news is Martone and the Flyers do seem like they're, in good spirits with one another, in good shape. Yeah. The Flyers have no problem with it. So, hopefully he'll play his 1 year at college and then be ready to join the Flyers big team. We'll see. We learned also
which goes to my point. That goes to my point of the NIL. He's going to go play his 1 year at college.
Get some money. Get $750,000.
Can't blame the kid.
No,
absolutely can't blame the kid.
See, he's learning about economics. He's getting that part of it right.
Right.
Well, Bill, we learned also the other day that the Flyers' new head coach, Rick Tocchet, will also be an assistant coach for Team Canada during the 2026 Winter Olympic Games in February in Italy. Tocchet also represented Hockey Canada as a player for 3 different international competitions. So way to go, Tocchet.
Yeah, there's I don't have my years right. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but there was a year where there was a line of Gretzky, Lemieux, and Tocchet.
I do remember that, yeah.
Tocchet was the grinder in the corners and making things happen, and he had a couple good line mates. He's been around some good players.
Hey, Bill, let me ask you something. Do you still read a physical newspaper at any point?
No, because I can't find them.
Yeah, they are tougher to find. Now, some places still have them, and I thought of this the other day when I was in a Wawa, and I looked on the stand, and there was the Daily News, regarding that whole latest survey regarding NFL quarterbacks, and the Inquirer. And I looked at them, and I looked at the price. If you look up at the top of the Daily News, top right, $2.95 for a daily newspaper in each case. When we were, in our day back in the 70s, they were like 15 cents, 25 cents. And then people got all upset when they went up to, 35 cents at one point and then 50 cents. And now they're $2.95 a day for the newspaper. It's no wonder that very few people read them. My buddy PJ said he actually still gets the Republican Herald of Pottsville, Pennsylvania delivered to him, and occasionally will buy a USA Today too. Not many people do that.
Well, if you notice in your picture there, that back cover is page 38. It used to be 10 or 12 pages were sports.
Yeah.
With the box scores and the racing track cards were in there, and everything else you could possibly want was in there. And but there's just nothing in them anymore, unfortunately.
And you're paying 8 to 10 times as much as you used to, and there's not much there. So I don't get it. I know why they're struggling, of course, because you can get most of the stuff online, some of it without a paywall. So it's a different world, as we say.
Yes, it is. But hey, you know what is in the same world, and it's a good world? Phillies baseball and tailgating. We're the best tailgaters in Philadelphia. Bob Cavanaugh, and a gang of Cavs Philly tailgates.
There he is. There's Cav right there. Yeah, Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for some 35 years. Known best for their tailgate parties, Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events, parties, you name it. Of course, Cav hosts tailgates before all Eagles games outside the link. And with Birds training camp now officially underway, let's talk about that. Yeah, there will be tailgates outside the link on September 4th before that Eagles-Cowboys season opener, plus parties before the home games against the Rams, September 21st, and Broncos on October 5th. Get all the details on all upcoming events on the web at phillytailgates.com. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. Cavs, Philly Tailgates, the way to go.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Hey,
Bill, Eagles. September 4th. That is now 43 days from right now. So I was thinking about that. A couple of great number 43s
Darren
right here.
Sproles.
Darren Sproles, of course, recently.
Roynell Young. How am I doing?
I know you would know him. Yep. A DB who spent most of the 1980s as an Eagle. Roynell Young, in fact, spent his entire 9-year NFL career with the Birds, and he made the Pro Bowl in his second season
He was
in
good.
the league. So how about that?
He was good. Hey, Chet.
Yeah.
I hate to bring this up, but is there anything new coming out of Sixers camp this week regarding those Joel Embiid and Paul George injuries? I don't even know why I had to bring this up. But.
Well, you had to, because we're kind of obligated to talk about it, Bill. We just are. Okay. No really new stuff, but there's been lots of discussion over the past week about that ESPN article, 40 pages worth, that came out last week, a few hours before our show last week, which centered on an extensive few interviews with Embiid and his, personality, his injury history, his frequent frustration with how the Sixers dealt with his health issues. A lot of folks have grown even more frustrated with Embiid in the wake of that article, which was, as we said, published the morning of our last show. While another big portion of folks have actually expressed a bit more empathy for him in connection with the perception that a lot of the blame lies with the Sixers franchise. So, Bill, neither of us read the whole article, I don't think, but we have seen experts and heard a lot of the discussion about it. So has it changed your view at all of Embiid?
No, I actually would like to read the whole thing, and I haven't done that. I mean, you know where I stand with Embiid. The Sixers organization's a joke.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't doubt that there's not some two-way problems there. This isn't all on Embiid. As we've said many times, you seem to come to work. Nick Nurse and coaches before him come to work, don't know who's playing tonight. Who's making those calls? Is the organization making it, or the players making it? Who's making the calls for that to happen? And that, I'm probably one of the big ones to pile on Embiid, but I'm not going to do that right now without at least reading the whole thing and getting a better feel for it, because I think the organization's garbage too.
Yeah. Well, separately, our pal Keith Pompey the other day, I think it was Monday, wrote a great piece that came with the headline, "A Painful Truth. Nothing has changed for Joel Embiid, Paul George, and the Sixers." As Keith wrote, to get where they need to be, Daryl Morey, the team's president of basketball operations, said recently that the big three of Embiid, Maxey, and George would have to be healthy. 3 days later, the Sixers announced that the often injured George had arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. And then on Wednesday, as we discussed, Embiid revealed in that ESPN story that he wasn't rushing back from his left knee injury. The Sixers are the same injury-plagued team with a poor culture. That combination was among the reasons they haven't advanced beyond the second round of the postseason during the Embiid era. And to be honest, one has to wonder how Embiid's divulgence in that ESPN article will impact the team moving forward. Good stuff from Keith, and he's probably right. Here we are a year later when, they're dependent on the health of the big three, and there are already questions in July about the health of two of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what Keith's saying, and I agree with him. I just don't. The organization is just in shambles, and quite frankly, Chad, I'm not sure until it changes ownership that you can get out of this hole. I think you said the word culture, and I think that's critical to what's going on there. Are they even able to get, if they had the money and had everything in order, could they even get players to come play for this team?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, money talks. So I think, you would get them if you had the money to give them. By the way, I checked with the Vegas odds makers yesterday, and they currently have the Sixers over under wins total at, wait for it, 43.5. Now, that sounds a bit high to me. You're talking about a team over 500, but that to me means that I should take the under. It looks like easy money, but then the way it works, no, you should probably actually go over 43.5 because Vegas is telling me something. So, boy, I don't know how I would bet on that one, but 43.5 just sounds a little high to me.
So would that be what, 44 and 38, right?
Yes.
You got to get to 82. 44.
Well, they would last year, like
44, 44 and 38.
I don't know if they can do that. I mean, sure, if they're healthy, they can, but that's a lot to ask.
Yeah. Especially the track record is too long, I think, to assume anything like that.
Hey, one final Sixers thing. Some final thoughts about the summer league action that I watched. Two of the young bigs.
You're the one.
I'm the guy. Second-year man Adem Bona and rookie Janai Broom both looked pretty good, actually. But Justin Edwards, the undrafted second-year guard out of Kentucky, did not impress. He averaged 12.7 points, which sounds decent, but he struggled with his shot and his ball handling, averaging 3 1/3 turnovers a game. And rookie VJ Edgecombe played the opening game and then had that thumb injury. He played one additional game after coming back from that, and that was it. You know, I DVR'd the game last Wednesday, the Sixers and Dallas Mavericks Summer League teams. I was hoping to watch Edgecombe and Cooper Flagg go head-to-head. Well, guess what? Neither one of them suited up,
right?
Even though they were both theoretically healthy. Pissed me off, Bill.
Well, with Cooper Flagg, and I said this back with VJ when it happened, they kept saying this injury, all this different stuff. Cooper Flagg, they just said we're shutting him down.
Yeah.
We've seen all we can see. We're shutting him down. I'm better with that than to be drug along that, you got 8 different thumb injuries, calling it different things and dragging you out. Shut him down. Just say it. That's what they did with Flagg. I'm fine with that. I don't turn it on and expect it.
Let's shut down our Sixers talk for the week, too.
Yeah, why get all stressed out in July over that?
Exactly.
Much? Hey, we have a schedule change for next week as the baseball trade deadline approaches, Chet.
Well, it turns out, Bill, that both of us actually have prior commitments next Wednesday. So we are going to move the show to Thursday at 7. We thought about taking the full week off, but I said, you know what? The 31st is the MLB trade deadline. So we're going to do something. But rather than have a guest, it'll just be you and me, we hope, talking about what the Phillies did or did not do ahead of the trade deadline that day. And we will take comments and criticisms from our viewers. So Dave Dombrowski, don't disappoint us. Again, next week's show, a trade deadline special. It might only be a half hour, 45 minutes. We'll see. Will be Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Dombrowski's on the clock, Chad.
That's right, Dave. Come on, man.
He's on the clock, and he better make something happen. Hey, I wanted to throw one other thing at you before we move on, because this is bugging me. I was going to throw it out there to Bob, and I thought it might take up too much time. What do you think? I mean, we watched the Phillies. We have high expectations. We've watched the 2008 run and all that. We've watched these last few years. And for us older timers, we watched the late 70 runs that got to the 80 World Series. The product, the total Major League Baseball product, is it any good? Do you feel like it's any good? When you watch a game, do you think, man, this is really good?
Baseball?
Yeah. I'm just not. Nobody hits 300. Pitchers are good, all 8 of them that pitch every night. I just don't feel like it's got the pizzazz. Something's missing for me.
No, I don't feel that way. I got to be honest. I disagree. I still think it's a lot of fun watching the games. Now, not the NBA these days, but yeah, MLB and NFL for sure. I do still enjoy it. I mean, we're diehard Phillies fans. Not every game is going to be great, but I still think there's typically a lot of intrigue. You being kind of the older school guy, we're about the same age, but you tend to think more like a 70s and 80s kind of guy. It bothers you, I know, when they take a pitcher out as soon as he hits 100 or 102 pitches. I know you don't like some of the rules changes in recent years, but by and large, I still think it's a pretty damn good product, and I enjoy it. And in fact, I like most of the changes they made in recent years, including the pitch clock. And I know we disagree on this. I'm okay with the zombie runner, the ghost runner, because I don't want to see 14 or 15 inning games. I got stuff to do, Bill. I like the ghost runner. I'm saying it right now.
Well, you're probably the only one. I'm not about that. Now, pitch clock I like. The speeding up games I like. There are some things I definitely like, but that zombie runner, like the other night when the Phillies scored the game-winning run and never put a ball in play.
Yeah, well, if Malloy agrees with you, you got issues.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, Chet, I know we all know how much you like award shows. If you'd sit through the Grammys, or not the Grammys, the Academy Awards,
all the
I'm sure you would.
Academy Awards, yeah.
Well, the Grammys actually sometimes are maybe a little okay, but then there's the Academy Awards. But I'm sure you like the ESPYs. The Eagles got a lot of love, and I'm sure you were glued to your TV. Tell us what you took.
All right. Look, ESPN gets lots of criticism, Bill, and I got to be honest, a lot of it is deserved. But honestly, I do enjoy watching the ESPYs every year. There are usual awards, of course, for athletic performance, but it's all the other stuff that gets more of my attention. For example, this year, they honored Lee Corso, who's retiring from college football, game day next month. They gave Alexander Ovechkin a special award for breaking Gretzky's career goals record. And then there are a couple of the big ones that are always very cool and neat to see. This year's Jimmy V Award for Perseverance went to Penn State women's volleyball coach Katie Schumacher-Colley, who battled stage 2 breast cancer while coaching her Nittany Lions to Big Ten and NCAA championship titles. So great to see her being awarded for that. And the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage went to the legendary Oscar Robertson for his work more than a half century ago in helping establish free agency in the NBA when he was president of the NBA Players Association in the late 60s and early 70s. On a side note, the Big O at age 86 looks and sounds fantastic. Now, this year's ESPYs were hosted by comic Shane Gillis, who got mixed reviews. Now, he's not one of my favorites, to be honest, but he is a Pennsylvania guy, grew up in Mechanicsburg in central Pennsylvania. He went to Westchester University, and he's a diehard Eagles fan. I think he said, "Go Birds," like 30 times during the course of the show. And I'm going to show you this snippet, which I think most Birds fans will appreciate.
The Eagles are up for best team. Go Birds. Yep. And I bet you guys think, as an Eagles fan, that I'm going to trash all the other nominees, but far from it. I'm going to celebrate them. One of the nominees for best team is the Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm joking. Obviously, Dallas sucks. Go Birds. They're obviously not here. Only real teams are up for best team.
So that was pretty funny, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you heard by now, the Eagles were indeed honored as the best team, and Saquon was named NFL Player of the Year. So there you go. All in all, a good 3-hour show, and I do enjoy the ESPYs and most other award shows as well.
I got to watch the monologue after the fact. I thought it was actually pretty funny.
It was all right. I didn't love it.
Yeah, I thought it was, well, you wouldn't because they picked on some of your people, but that's okay. There's that. And I did see the Penn State volleyball speech. Yeah. That was excellent.
That was good.
Yeah, but otherwise you can have it. But I'm glad you liked it. You're that kind of guy. Somebody has to like it. Hey, Chet, we wanted to talk about Dick Allen, you have your Dick Allen shirt on. Dick Allen and Billy Wagner
Yes.
are going to the Hall of Fame this weekend. We wanted to hit on that. Those Eagles rings, we mentioned a little bit more. And
well, let's stop right there and talk about Dick Allen. As you mentioned, Dick Allen going into the Hall with who else? Dave Parker, Billy Wagner, somebody else.
Ichiro.
Yes, Ichiro, of course. So Dick Allen, there he is. I guess this was sometime in the 1990s. Allen, who of course played for the Phillies in the 60s and then came back and played again in 1976. And NBC Sports Philly this week has been doing a daily feature. I think it's something about the long road to Cooperstown. And it's like 5 minutes or so each day talking about what Dick Allen went through as a rookie and, his years with the Phillies when he wasn't always well received. There was the fight with Frank Thomas. He wanted out of town. He was doodling in the dirt, got himself traded out of town. So there was one of the pictures from the show. Phils get Flood and McCarver for Allen, Rojas, Johnson. That was a big deal, of course, back in the late 1960s. Glad to see him finally going into the Hall. It's just a shame, of course, it's happening a couple of years after his passing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's long overdue. I'm glad it's happening. And like you say, and shame for Dave Parker. Unfortunately, he won't be there either. Both very deserving to be there. Billy Wagner didn't spend a lot of time with the Phillies, but he was awful good when he was here. Billy Wagner in his last year of eligibility, I believe, he goes in as well. Hey,
Robbie hates the ghost runner.
Oh, yeah. Well, Robbie knows baseball.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Hey, another one of your rock legends left us yesterday. Thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts. It's been a tough week. We're going to have to do a segment every week, Bill, on who died this week.
We don't want to.
Oh, it's sad. Well, last week we got the news, I think it was Thursday, about Brian Brayman, a Super Bowl 52 Eagles champion. He played great on special teams for them. And as it turned out, Super Bowl 52 was his very last game. So died at age 38 of some kind of rare cancer, and that's a shame. And then, Ozzy Osbourne, as you mentioned, that came, I want to say it came out of nowhere. But, I mean, we knew he was ailing. He had Parkinson's the last 5 years or so, other health ailments. But he just did the big concert 2.5 weeks ago in his home area of Birmingham, England. And it was a huge success, of course, even though he wasn't able to stand anymore. He was in like kind of a throne. But he sounded, pretty good for 76 and given all his issues. So, I pulled out my Ozzy CD that I homemade several years ago and played a bunch of that last night in honor of the Black Sabbath frontman leaving us. Such a talent and just the godfather of heavy metal, as they called him. So rest in peace, Ozzy.
Yeah, he is funny, I guess, for a guy who was a icon in the music industry for all those years. And then when he became a reality TV star, he actually became way more famous probably than he was as a musician. And people really came around to like the guy after thinking he was a bit nutty,
that's how,
for want of a better word.
That's how a lot of people got to know him, was that very successful show. And it was pretty well done. Everybody remember going, Sharon, and their little dog. And oh my God, it was funny. So Ozzy, we're going to miss you. Couple other things, Bill. This is the week. It happens every year on July 26th, I believe. A couple of famous birthdays. Mick Jagger, 82 this year. 82. Still singing, still playing. And my close personal friend, Kate Beckinsale, turns on the very same day, Saturday. Kate Beckinsale, 52.
If you redid that picture right now, Kate would probably look a lot like she does here, and you wouldn't.
To be honest, Kate is not looking great lately. She's had some health issues a year or so ago, and man, it's a shame to see her.
Hey, speaking of health issues, back on our sports, word is out there that Ryan Sandberg is really in a struggle.
Yeah, I heard that.
I mean, it's almost to the point where they're saying that he's sending farewell notes, that he's really not well, and they're trying to take care of him. I guess it's pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, one of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But
I heard he's not doing well, which is a
Rhino not doing well, and this isn't his first time. I think he's been in remission now. It's back, and that usually doesn't end up well. And man, what a great player he was with a lot of Philly ties.
Yep, everybody offering their condolences here to Ozzy and Bob Moser, saying we should wrap up the show because he's saying we should have a great weekend. One last thing, though, Bill, I will mention that this will make a lot of people happy. This Friday, hitting Netflix, Happy Gilmore 2. I know you'll be watching, Bill.
I might.
The first one was okay. I never actually watched the first one until about 3 years ago. And, it's amusing. It's no Caddyshack, but it's not bad as a golf comedy.
Yeah, as the comedy goes.
Yeah. Wrap it up,
Let's
Bill.
wrap this thing up. Let's thank tonight's special guest, Bob Brookover. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, and PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Pressbox Radio next Thursday night, July 31st. Trade deadline show at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Let's go, Phillies.
And now, folks, that's it. Good night to all of you. And good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.